Welcome. I'm just so excited to talk to you about the NCFE Cash Level 5 Diploma in Leadership for Children and Young People Services. In this quick overview that I've recorded especially for you, I'm going to cover a little bit about some frequently asked questions and things that you may be wondering about this Cash Level 5 Diploma. And hopefully by the end of the few minutes, you're going to get a really good overview about what the diploma is like. So first of all, what is it? The Cash Level 5 Diploma really provides you the skills and knowledge that you need to be able to manage and lead others in children's centers. And children's centers includes any program that cares for children between the ages of birth to 18. So that means that if you manage a program, or if you are planning to manage a program that cares for children, then this program is for you. So how long is it? Well, it's about 12 months, maybe longer, maybe less. And you need to plan for about spending at least one session a week, and then maybe about 4 to 6 hours of reading and assignments in between your sessions. Most often, we don't hold sessions on holidays, so that brings it to about 30 sessions plus or minus 2. Usually the instructor, if you are attending the live webinar sessions or the live instructor-led sessions, they might decide to hold an additional session if they feel that you need some more attention or that you need to cover some more ground on a particular topic. So what do the topics look like? Well, you're going to have topics that cover business and management. So that includes team management, leading practice, change management, partnership working, developing your leadership skills, communication systems, and then looking at equity and diversity in your program. You're also going to be covering child development topics. So this includes curriculum, child development, child resilience, child outcomes, managing quality programs, child protection, safeguarding, and then looking at health, safety, and nutrition as well. And it's very important for managers of programs that care and serve children for you to have that balance between skills and knowledge in the business and management arena, as well as the child development arena as well. And I think that the Cash Level 5 Diploma really brings that perfect balance between the two. So how do I pass? Well, you have to complete all of the units, and you have to achieve, so every unit will have specific knowledge and practice-based tasks, and you have to achieve every single one of those tasks. You also have to complete one research project. So at some point during your planned schedule, you'll be working on the research project with your trainer. You also have to show competence in a real work environment. So the competence or the observation is the fun part, where you actually get to showcase and demonstrate that you are able to apply everything that you've learned in the classrooms, in the virtual classrooms, that is to say. What about the job prospects? Well, on completion of this program, learners can progress to a wide range of job roles depending on the pathway and depending on the sector that they are working with. You can work as a manager of a childcare, preschool, kindergarten, a school, a deputy manager, an assistant manager, and many other job prospects that are really exciting for you. So what are the entry requirements? Well, you have to be at least 19 years old, And it's also recommended that you hold at least a level 3 qualification or above. It's important to mention here that because of all of the tasks that are practice-based tasks, that we do require you to be able to either have access to working in or that you are already working in a program that cares or serves children. Because during the program, you will be asked to complete a series of tasks within your program and for you to develop, for example, policies, procedures, do some of the, for example, staff meetings, mentoring activities, a lot of those kind of tasks that will require you to either be working as or have access to volunteer as a manager in a program that cares or serves young children. There are lots of different learning modes as well, so you can take the course as self-study, which is an e-learning course. You can also take the instructor-led training course or the classroom-based course. So let's clarify a little bit the differences between the first two. So the e-learning course is really self-paced. This means that you are joining in through a state-of-the-art learning platform. You are watching recorded sessions, you are following on your own schedule, you are working, looking at the reading material, going through your tasks, and then you're submitting your assignments and working with your instructor remotely on your own schedule. Whereas the instructor-led course means that you are attending live training sessions. So usually these are held on a weekly basis, and you join your peers and your trainers on a weekly basis. So that's basically the difference between the two. Of course, the accreditation of, regardless of which learning mode you choose, the accreditation will be the same. So all of the programs are accredited by Arabian Child. Of course, you will get an accreditation by CASH and CFE, so your diploma will be issued from the UK. And you also have the additional option to get it attested by the Knowledge and Human Development Authority. The time is now. We hope that you will join our upcoming groups. Register now and get in touch with us if you have any more questions. Good luck.
Hello everybody, welcome back. As you can see, I'm sharing the screen with you all regarding the course that we're going to be giving a sampling with you right now. My name is Shafali. I've been with Arabian Child as a trainer and assessor for the last 6 years. And I'm happy to be on the panel today and give you some clarification on this. So I'm going to take it forward and let's take a look at a sample piece of what we do. So what we're going to be looking at as a unit as facilitating change, in which we're looking at the changes that that have to be brought about in health or social care for young children and people settings. Now, some of the subtopics that we're talking about are: what are the factors that drive the change? Why do we have those? Some of the theories of change management, and what sort of approaches, tools, techniques that we undertake to support those change processes, and why change management is important for the education sector. So now we know that all of us have been through many transitions and changes since the onset of this pandemic. How did it make you feel? It made us feel nervous, definitely. It made us feel afraid because we don't know. There was so much uncertainty. We did not know what's coming up. We were resistant because we were not clear with how we're going to move forward. There was a certain bit of anger because we did not know why was this happening right now. However, as the changes come around and as things started to settle in, we're excited for the new beginning. we are motivated because there are lots of changes that have been brought around, which will help us with our work and about with our day-to-day activities. We feel more energized because of certain transformations or transitions that have been put in place, and we are enthusiastic about it. Now, what causes changes? Now, some of the changes that are causes basically are due to external pressures like the global market. There's new competition in the market. There are changes made due to technology, or the government changes certain policies and procedures, and we're doing the changes. Or it could be just the customer feedback. So, for example, in our setup or our businesses, such as the educational sector, we have to continuously evolve around the global market. We have to see what the market trend is, what is going on in terms of education, what are the new competitors coming in, what are their unique selling points, is there any technology that we need to introduce, do we need to upgrade our technology, online education, or we follow government legislations, what are the new regulations that have come in, and customer feedback, parent feedback, very, very important. So based on that, we bring about certain changes, which are the external changes because of the external pressures that are there. Now, sometimes it could be the internal pressures, such as we need to review certain policies and procedures because maybe certain, maybe the leave policies are not working out according to the environment, or we need to look at our contractual policies in place. We need to look at pay scales because the pay structure is changing, salary structure is changing. Maybe within our employee feedback, we've received certain feedback from our employees, which the transitions have to be made more smoother, clearer, and those are the internal pressures that we have to make these changes. Now, this is a quick frog story that, if a frog is put in a boiling pot of boiling water, it's going to jump out. But if it is in a cold water, it will heat up and it'll be boiled alive. Pretty gruesome. But the moral of the story here is that changes are slowly happening around us. We need to be more aware of it. We need to be accepting of it, because if we don't recognize or move with those changes, we will be left behind, and resulting which we may not be a part of the race, and we may not be able to survive for too long because we cannot be in that comfort zone for a very long time. Some of the changes or some of the types of changes, so let's take a look at that, which are gradual, radical, crisis, growth, or to gain advantage. So these are perhaps some of the reasons why changes comes around. Now let's look at a gradual change. What is a gradual change? As we understand by gradual means these are changes which happen slowly over time. In case of an education sector, if you were to take an example, we see gradual changes coming in, like maybe you have a nursery, and over the time, because of the current financial status of the economy, over the time we see that the number of children are reducing. So with the reduced number of children, we need to then look at our restaffing structure. We probably need to look at shutting down a couple of classes, or it could be the other way, that perhaps with the economy expanding, now both parents are working, we need to open up more classes, we need to see what kind of numbers are increasing. So do we open up more classrooms, do we create more areas? Those are the gradual changes that slowly over the time that you bring about different changes to your setting. So those are very gradual, they are not drastic, they happen over time, they're very calculated changes, they're done after a lot of informed decisions being taken place. Some of them could be radical changes, which could be drastic or dramatic. It could be because of any calamity that has happened. So you need to restructure, you need to, make some amendments with the infrastructure. It could be change of ownership. So, within a week, there are certain nurseries or schools which go through these changes because the change of ownership has happened. One owner has run the school or the nursery in one particular manner, and the other owner wants it in a different manner. So there's a transition, but that transition is very quick. because you need to reorganize the structure, you need to reorganize the classrooms, you need to refurbish the whole setup, the classrooms. So there's a lot of drastic and a dramatic change that needs to happen because the operations should not be disturbed. Now, those are radical changes that happens. Some changes happen because of crisis, and they have to be made in order to survive. It could be coming in form of redundancies or change as a risk assessment. So what do we mean by that? Now, for example, let's take the situation for COVID. When we started in March 2020, businesses were closing. There were a couple of lockdowns. The economy was, on the whole, was affected by it, resulting in a lot of informed decisions had to be made because downsizing happened. Certain sectors were closed in. So there were redundancies because the staff structuring or restructuring happened. Now that happened because of crisis, and many people lost jobs, many people were put on unpaid leaves. So that sort of a change that came around in organizational structure or in leadership or in any of the settings was because of a crisis that happened. There was a pandemic. The certain changes could also be because of risk assessment, because perhaps certain areas are not safe anymore in your school or a setting. Maybe the pool needs more safety standards, so we're going to shut the pool and we're going to transform it into a play area. So those kind of changes happen because that area did not get approved, or because it could harm potentially. When the risk assessments are being done, it could indicate a potential harm or a significant risk of harm to children. So which means that we need to bring about changes there. So instead of a pool, we put together a play area. So there's a now sand play area or a play area. Those sort of changes are crisis changes. Now changes happen because of growth. Now growth in setting or staffing. So maybe your nursery has grown over the years in size. The number of children have increased. The number of staffing has increased. So we need to see now more on health and safety standards. We need to perhaps look at an entry and an exit point because of the mass number of children. Perhaps your entry and exit procedures might be changed. So you may want to staff to be entering at certain time, children to be entering at certain time. So you make your changes in your everyday routine because of certain elements of the growth that has happened, which is a positive change that is coming up. Now, another type of change that happens is advantage change. Now, what do we mean by advantage? Now, if we do not move according to the current pattern of the economy or the businesses or the change, we're going to lose the race. So we need to take advantage of certain situation. Now I'm going to give you another example of pandemic, the COVID-19. So what happens was that with the shutdown, the lockdown, a lot of nurseries, they opted for online. Immediately they went online. So what they took was they took advantage of the situation. Children are at home, parents still have to work remotely, there has to be continuity in the children's education. So what do? We cannot shut shop. What do? We go online. So that became the unique selling point. A lot of businesses which were in event or marketing, which were completely shut down due to the lockdown, they went into making masks, making gloves. So they took advantage of the situation and brought about a complete business change. So those are the kind of changes that you take place because you're taking advantage of the current situation and you need to bring about that change. So and you bring it in an informed manner and quickly, that you can actually continue this continuity in your growth and business. Sometimes there's a combination of changes. Now, it could be because of a certain crisis, the setting has to take an advantage. The classic example is what I gave you before of COVID. So, because of the shutdown or the lockdown, because of a crisis change that happened, we had a lockdown, nobody was going in, so we changed to online and eventually to blended. But that also gave rise to advantage chain because a lot of blended learning started happening. So schools and institutions took advantage to that complete lockdown and went into online education. Some nurseries were having cohorts being taught online, or some nurseries were also sending people home. So the home services started. So those kind of changes, which are the combined changes, which are happening mostly because of a crisis that may have happened, and then you choose, the business unit chooses to take advantage of that crisis and operate, and brings about an advantage change too. Um, now let's look at how change management approach navigated. How did we navigate it through COVID? So what happens was that we were all in a lot of emotionals. We had a lot of emotions in ourselves. So we went through a complete morale up and down the scale, and an emotional up and down, starting from denial. We said, okay, it's closed down for 3 weeks. We're gonna open back in March, and then everything will get back to normal. So we were in a denial that this is not going to be long term. It's going to be really short term. It's going to take care of it. Everything will be fine. But when it did not open up in 3 weeks and 4 weeks, we started getting frustrated because we were like, okay, this isn't going. It's impacting my world. What's happened? I had certain plans. I started studying. I had just got a position as a manager. I only have started to achieve my goals right now. What's going to happen to all of that? I've worked so hard to get to where I am, and everything is shut down. What's my future? Now that further, when we didn't open up and there was so much uncertainty around, we went into a depressive stage where we said, okay, now we are definitely not opening. How am I going to survive financially? How is my family going to be safe? How will I take care of my family health and well-being? Will I have a job when we open up? What happens to the essential service? Am I going to How am I going to afford to buy things? Will they be available? The economy slow down. So what happens to my nursery or the school? What happens when we open up? So there's all sorts of these negative emotions that flow into it, that have been flowing out. So from denial to frustration of not opening, to finally seeing, okay, that there doesn't seem to be any relief, and then you go into a depression. Eventually you start hearing, okay, fine, now a certain partial lockdown is happening, the complete lockdown has come over, we will be going through, there are certain messages coming from the government that, okay, if we take these precautions, we will be open up. So we understanding how this whole COVID-19 was working. Eventually the government comes up with the rules and regulations. We're seeing that all over the world slowly things are opening up, and we start accepting, okay, this is it. We understand the realities, we understand what's going to happen, we understand that the government is being very cautious. Even when we do open, we're going to open with a lot of procedures in place. And but I will get the training and I will get the support to manage through this. And then finally, when we all received trainings, we all received more information, there was more communication through the companies, through the government regulatory bodies. We knew what we had to do. We were more empowered with the tools and techniques. We felt more empowered to go in and start working again. We understood the reality. There was a complete reality check. And then on, we moved on. We started investing our time, and we were ready. We said, okay, fine, we give a commitment. We will commit to the new policies and procedures. We will learn how we need to now start operating. I am keen to go back into my work. I am keen to go back and serve. And, I will be looking at innovating my way, in more innovative works of ways of working, so that I can excel in what I'm doing. So that's how usually the change management approach is. Although through COVID is how it happened, whereby we all were in a denial. We went through our own frustrations with the whole virus impacting. We went into depression, not knowing what lies ahead, not knowing how we're going to be, how the salaries are going to be, what is my job prospects, to the fact that we will accept the COVID reality, we accept the market situation because of we accept the certain situations that we need to work in, and then we commit to those new regulations. Now, we've just talked about these types of changes. So what I'm going to do is we're going to open up our chat box. We're going to be looking at individually. You guys can all start putting up your notes on the chat box, and we're going to be looking at it as to what kind of changes did your organization go through since March 2020, right from the time that we went in for a complete lockdown to the various techniques that we adapted to survive. So, which means in terms of in terms of online learning, blended learning, sending work home, what techniques, what or changes did your organization do in terms of, let's talk in terms of restructuring, in terms of technology, in terms of policies and procedures. So what I'd like you to do is to type out your answers in the chat box so we can all take a look at it, and we're going to respond to you eventually. So as you're typing and as you're putting in your notes, we'll start sharing them, and we'll start discussing them. So I'd like you to please start typing now so that I can answer and we can kind of discuss those changes. Thank you. I see you typing. Thank you. Yes, crisis change is what we spoke about. So can you type what happened with crisis change, giving examples, or what did your organization go through? So well done. Norma, I can see you typing changes. Yes, we did go on to online education. Well done. So anyone else who would like to share what kind of changes were brought about when we went through our since March 2020? Yes, I absolutely agree. We did go out. We changed a lot. We were terminated. A lot of employees got terminated. Some of them were not given salaries. Some of them had salary cuts. These were the kind of crisis management that happened. We had a lot of absolutely, a lot of employees went to other organizations. There was a lot of transfer from between employees and in between organizations, because a lot of them had lost their jobs, so they were taken in somewhere else. There were a lot of educators in the market, and I understand we've been closed since March. Many of us have been closed since March. Many of us are trying our best to meet the required standards as has been set by the ministries, and some of us are even waiting for our no objections to come through. Even we've had to undertake so many changes, so many transitions happened, and competitors were all around us. So we had to look at how we're going to be competing with everybody, and we had to see what is going to be our unique selling point. Um, and yes, Seb, I'm very sorry that, yes, since last September, we prepared to close as a ministry. Yes, a lot of them, crisis changes have come around whereby the ministry has not given approval, or the kind of changes that we've had to bring around are not feasible enough for our settings. So we are trying to, still um, take a quick look at how to do about it. A lot of work from home happened, remote working started because of the crisis change, and that is still continuing in many parts of the world, or rather all around the world, whereby we are doing remote working. We still not going in, we still maybe by 50% or 70% of the staff are only there. A lot of reshuffling of the staffing, a lot of reshuffling in the staffing structure has happened. We've lost a lot of number of children because parents may not be comfortable in sending them back to the nursery, so because of which we've had to cut down our staffing structure too. So yes, these kind of crisis changes have brought around dramatic changes within our own setup. So we've had these issues. We've had to go online. Some of us had to adapt to a lot of technological changes, so that we are kind of meeting up with the needs. Yes, absolutely. Economical declinations, we have gone, the economy has gone in a decline, because of which parents are not able to pay up, because of which the numbers have reduced. That has affected in our staffing, as we spoke earlier. And because of which the whole, in order to survive the business or sustain, of course we have come up with technological development within our schools and organizations, but at the same time we've had to restructure our salaries as well. So those economical and financial impact has been there as well, because of the crisis change that has happened in specifically for the educational sector around the world. Now, also with the government regulation of having, only small cohorts or bubbles of children coming in, we cannot go full capacity, which again means, we cannot have the kind of restructuring that we want. We cannot have the number of staff that we want. So those things have also definitely affected. And more than also, one of the changes, the crisis changes, yes, I agree, has come around, is that um, the cost of implementing the changes is very high, and because of which we are not able to meet the balance, and then the fee structure has been reduced, salaries has been reduced, restructure of staffing has happened. So all of this has inevitably affected our, the crisis changes have affected our settings, and these are the kind of changes, unfortunately, we've had to bring around. Now, so yes, anyone else? Preschool children, yes, absolutely. I agree. We faced a lot of problem with online education, especially for the younger children, because of their attention span. It was very difficult to keep them entertained throughout, or keep them engaged with the video calls, with the video labs and the online learning. And we needed to really come up with many innovative manners. And I feel one of the biggest changes that has also come around is that the teachers are working non-stop, literally, for those who are doing blended learning, because they have children who are there in class and they have children who are there online. So they have to create that balance. So there's a lot of work that is going on there as well for the teachers. And these kind of crisis, the changes have been implemented all throughout and are facing these difficulties, are being faced. So yes, thank you very much for all that feedback. I'm really glad to see you all come up with your own, with your own views on what kind of changes have you seen. Now let's take a look at the change process. How did we go through the change process, or what does research show? So research shows that many attempts or changes program fails because we haven't really focused on the transition. Now, what do we mean by that? So what happens is that if we fail to communicate to our staff, if we fail to get them on board with our changes, it will not be an effective change that has happened, or those programs will not be delivered as effectively, because while we were thinking about the bigger picture, we forgot about the focus on the people who will bring about the change, because it is the team, so they need to be on the same page. Now, transitions are not easy. Transitions are always very challenging, because not just it is a process of going through the physical changes or implementing changes, it is also on mental well-being, on thoughts, on feelings, where many times we need to know whether or not our people are happy with it, our team is happy with it. Have you communicated it in a manner that they feel okay, fine, we can go around the changes as long as we are supported? Or do they feel that performance is going to really decline? So the way we facilitate those changes is very important, because that's how the change process comes in. So for example, we may be at a status quo, as you can see in this diagram. We bring about the change, we suddenly stop what we're doing, everybody stops what they're doing. There is an element of a new foreign element or a new change that has been brought about. There will be a lot of people who may be resistant to the change, because they may feel they're not ready for it. They may feel that we've been following these methods, now why do we need to change it? So there may be a lot of chaos, because there'll be a lot of questions, there'll be a lot of queries, there will be a lot of ifs and buts, and but we were doing better, why do we need to do it now? So all those kind of questions will come out from your team. Eventually, if you are persistent and you continuously show them your support, you continuously work through your team, you tell them it's okay. It's okay if you cannot get it. I'm here, I'll support you. What is it that you need? If it is a planning document, for example, I'll show you how it is done so that we can make these changes in the document. From all of that, then we eventually start to transform the ideas. We start saying, okay, you start accepting it slowly, and with that support, you're like, okay, I'll move on, I'll give it a try. If it works, it's great. If not, then I'll see what I need to do. And eventually everybody starts to integrate within the process, the change process that you have brought around. So they will start integrating, because you are continuously making sure that you're communicating with them, you're making sure that their mental well-being and mindset is kept in check. You are constantly showing your support, you're working alongside your team as a leader, so that with time they integrate those changes within their work profile, and then they reach to a point where they have mastered those changes, and then again they have come to a status quo or new status quo, whereby everyone starts working on the same page. So that typically is the change process. And in terms of nurseries or education sector, we can see that sometimes if we were to introduce a curriculum change, or let's say we bring in a new planning document, So there will be a lot of resistance because they'll be like, no, that's a lot of work now. And how can we make sure that we're writing so much in the planning document? Why do we need to differentiate? We are writing it already. It's understood our groups are divided. So why do we need to put it there? So that's the kind of resistance and chaos that's bringing around. But maybe as a leader, you give them sample documents and you said, okay, let's start off with this, and then we will work through it. I will work one-on-one with groups, age groups, so that we transform these ideas, we transform our planning documents. So eventually your team will start preparing the documents as per the new changes. They will start integrating their old planning into the new planner, and with the time everyone gets on the same plane, if you please. So facilitating changes, you have to be very mindful that it is communicated properly. Your team's opinion is taken in. What is it that they're resisting? What is it that they are wary of? They are making, and you're making sure that you are supporting them throughout. You are making sure that you are taking care of their mental well-being, thoughts, feelings. They are excited about it now, and they are not feeling overwhelmed, or they're not feeling depressed about the whole thing, but they are now very excited. They feel empowered with the new tool, the planning tool that you've given them. They feel they have achieved, they have learned more, and they're ready to integrate, and they're ready to move to the next level. So that's typically how a change process happens. Now, the previous slides that you saw, we gave you a glimpse of 2-week long course. That is, of course, a part of cash level course on change process. How we typically at Arabian Child go through is that when you complete each unit, there are a couple of assignments that are given to you. But what we do is that we compile those assignments to you for you, so that it's easier to attempt all of those. So, for example, based on the slides that we saw earlier, we can see, if you can see the task 3. So these are assessment criteria 3.1, 3.2. So they will be there marked on your online portal system. So instead of you attempting one criteria at one time, like 3.1 one time, and then again writing an answer for 3.2, what we have done is that all of the units, or all of the questions which may be overlapping, we put them together for you, so that you can attempt all of them in one go, in one document, and upload that one single document onto all of these criteria. So it saves you your time. It saves you a lot of effort in uploading one question and one assessment or assignment at one time. So for example, for all of these criteria, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, going up to 6.3, all you need to do is to attempt analyze the impact of proposed change on your program, which is what you did as a part of your chat group. You wrote down, so we elaborate on that. Produce change management plan is step. So you can attempt each one of these criteria in a Word document, and make one single document and upload it. So that way, it's going to save you a lot of time. So that's how we plan and give you and organize your assessment criteria. So now that it's time for you to join the group now. We hope that this presentation was useful, and that you look forward to. We will be obviously giving you a lot of support throughout this level 5 diploma. You will get a lot of support in terms of the material, in terms of assessment, in terms of uploading your assignments, those being assessed and given a feedback, a very prompt feedback, so that what is it that you need to meet? How are you meeting the criteria or not? So those are very, very important things that you need to look at. Now, if you have any questions, we are happy to take them on board. So if you have any questions, we have 10 minutes. You can unmute yourself, or simultaneously you can type it in the chat box, so we can help you with those. So I see some questions popping up. please feel free if you want to know anything more on the course, or how do we do this, or how do we upload assignments, or anything related to the duration or anything on the delivery of the course. We'll be very, very happy to help you with it right now. So we do have some time, and if you have any questions, we can take it up. Simultaneously, you can unmute as well, and ask us questions if you want to. Okay, so I think that was very clear, and we do hope to see you all coming back for the course. If you need anything more details or any further details, you are very, very welcome to write on www.arabianchild.org. So .org. So www.arabianchild.org. So please feel